The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, you're encouraged to like and share them on Facebook. It's time for the African American Scene, presented each week at this time by your friends at Howard Insurance in Port St. Lucie. And the show is hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Boy, we got plenty of stuff going on. Woo-wee. But this is Black History Month, and I'm going to try to keep our focus on that.
Good. That's a great idea, because tonight's a special edition of African American Scene, because we got a little extra time for you tonight.
Oh, good.
And, we're going to be joining Greg Wyatt at an IRSC basketball game about 7:15 or so, or somewhere around there.
Good,
all right.
Good. Okay, so yeah, you get a little extra time to get at me. Last week, there were some people that called right up to the very end, and we didn't have a chance to get you on. So tonight, if you call at the end, we might be able a chance to get you on. So we're going to first go back to our trivia question, which nobody guessed last week, and your reward will be a book from Poetic Justice in Books and Art at 1774 Southeast Port St. Lucie Boulevard. Is in the Morningside Shops there.
No excuse tonight. You've had a whole week to research it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My buddy Dominic Albanese, he had a book reading at his shop in which he was getting, I got a signed copy of his new book. And recently, everybody's giving me books, and I'm all backed up. I'm about 6 books back. So I'm going to get to all my books eventually, but I'm kind of backed up right now. So if you gave me a book, I will read it, but be patient with me. So if you get this trivia question that's left over from last week, you'll win a book from Poetic Books and Justice. Yeah, Poetic Justice, Books, and Art. And my second prize tonight, you'll get a free eye exam from Dr. Lynn Irby. So for prize number 2, you can get a free eye exam. But let's go back to the first trivia question, which I gave you last week. I was the first lieutenant governor in American history. Who am I? And if you know that answer, the number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
When I answer the phone, if you're calling for the question, trivia question, give me the answer. I'll write down your answer, and I'll show it to Rudy, and he can give me the nod, and then I'll bring you right on the air for all the congratulations and celebrations.
Okay, very good. Okay. And when you get that question, then I'll give you the second question. I'm not going to give you the second question until somebody answers the first question. This is a holdover from last week. One more time. I was the first lieutenant governor in the United States, I was the first black lieutenant governor in the history of the United States. Who am I? Now, last week, Steve got on here and attempted to give you some garbage about Andrew Johnson. And just because I knew most of it was untrue, I went out and did a considerable research on Andrew Johnson. So let me tell you a little bit about Andrew Johnson. He became president after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So, and I want you to excuse me, I got some kind of croup or something. So occasionally I will be coughing as we go through this show here, and I apologize. And it just hit me really today, and I've been taking some Alka-Seltzer liquid stuff, and it seems to help, but I am suffering with this thing. So he became the president in 1865. So we're going to talk about Andrew Johnson. Then we're going to talk about Reconstruction. Reconstruction is a period of time which often goes unaddressed in the annals of African American history, and it was a very important, significant period of time, and it can be directly linked to part of what set black people back when they should have been moving forward, and we'll get into that in more detail. Finally, if you're a Trump person, and I know most of the people that's listening are Trump people, what President Trump did yesterday, if that doesn't scare the bejesus out of you, nothing will. He is trying to change the sentence that was done by the Justice Department for Roger, I think it's Stone. That is like one of the sacred cows that you just don't touch. Now, let me say this, because I talked about this last week in reading this book by Kim Weil, Understanding the Constitution. One of the things that I have learned in reading the book, and she's quite instructive in how she writes, many of the things that we have accepted are not necessarily laws, but they are norms and policies and procedures that have been followed for year after year and administration after administration. Now, I don't know, and I'm about halfway through the book, that there's anything I read in there that would make that illegal, but it definitely has a very poor face on it that the Department of Justice would interfere with the decision of 4 prosecutors who carried out the case against Roger Stone. And I think evidence of that is that the 4 of them withdrew from the case and 1 of them left the department. And I certainly can understand that when you have poured your heart and soul into coming up with a resolution on a matter that you've spent time and effort to develop, to have somebody override you is something that can be highly offensive. When I was the manager of my New York City claim office, I was always careful about overruling one of my claim reps unless it was an egregious violation, because I understand that they put their neck on the line and took a position maybe based on something that I had instructed them to do, and to overrule them leaves them with an egg on their face. So I was always very careful about that. So there you have it. But if you have comments about that, feel free to call. But let's get into this Andrew Johnson thing, which just got on my last nerve. The president, Lincoln, was assassinated in 1865. After the assassination of President Lincoln, Andrew Johnson came to power. He has been ranked by this article that I found as the most racist president in the history of America. So why? He did away with the Freedmen's Bureau. After the end of the Civil War, they created something called the Freedmen's Bureau, and it was to help slaves transition into society. They were, in some cases, taught how to write, how to read, and given some of the protocols that they would need to be successful in our society. And he was not in favor of that. He further took land away from slaves that had previously been given to them by the Union people who had won the war. And so some of the slaves received land for a reward in helping to secure the freedom. Okay. And we have Steve on line one. Yes. Yes,
Well,
Steve.
you're absolutely right about Jackson being the biggest racist in history, but Trump's trying to push him out of that.
And it's not not Jackson, Johnson.
Johnson, I'm sorry. But I got something that I wanted to tell you that just blew my mind last night. I have a new neighbor, a black man.
Uh-huh.
We were talking, getting to know each other, and he said, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump. And I looked at him and I said, why? And he said, well, you know, the black people, they feel that Trump's on their side. And I said, what station have you been listening to? Because, you know, the comments he made, I don't interpret them that way. But this guy blew my mind, knowing how much Trump despises black people and the way he treats them. He's going to vote for him? And I said to him, listen, I'm a blue-eyed, blonde-haired white boy. I'm not going to be in any trouble if he gets elected. You will be in trouble if he gets elected. Because you have no safeguards then at all. And the rest of America will say, hey, you brought it on yourself.
So what did he say when you said that to him?
He just looked at me. He said, well, what has the white man done for us? And I said, he hasn't done a damn thing. What has Trump done for you? He hasn't done anything either. So how are you judging him? You know, he belittles you, degrades you, the whole bit, and then you think that's okay? And you don't even know who the Democrat's going to be. But, you know, I got ABT, anybody but Trump.
Hey, listen.
I told him, I said, are you all there? I mean, stop and think of what this man has done to your people, and then you're going to support him?
Listen, this morning...
Rudy, you tell me what's going on, because I obviously have lost it.
No, there are... Here's the best way I can put it. There are those among us who feel that in order to be accepted, they have to do things that are a reflection of the masses. So, but let me tell you why that your statement is timely. This morning, I stopped in to check my lottery at my local store, and there's a Spanish lady in there delivering Coke. She was a Coke stock person.
Right.
And the guy owns a store who is, I think he's from, he's a Middle Easterner guy. So he and I talk all the time. And so he was telling me, he was saying something about Trump. And she said, well, I don't think I think we should vote for Trump. I said, why? Well, my mother came here and she had to come. I said, but what has he done for you? And she just looked at me. It was like, you know, and I was like looking at this Spanish lady, and I'm going, well, why would you do that? Now, I know there's going to be some people that's going to want to jump on this phone and get all over me, but I just
Well,
don't.
no, he hates the Spanish more than he hates the black.
I know he does. I know he does. So I'm like, I really didn't get it. So, but anyway, so I understand. But some people feel that in order to be ingratiated in society and accepted as part of the mass, they must comply with quote unquote what they think is the majority. But if people would stop and think, and I've heard this, I heard James Carville talk about it the other day. The majority is not the Trump people, it's the non-Trump people.
Exactly.
The majority continues to be those people. Over 50% of the people believe in the values and the philosophies of the people that are not right-wing conservatives. That's why they have to cheat to win. Oh, and boy, am I going to get it for that
Well,
one.
we have another problem. We have this communist named Bernie Sanders who's trying to split the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
He's got about as much chance of winning as I do. And he's not going to win. He's a socialist.
Yeah.
My God, what's he going to tell Putin? Which one of us is going to be the bride? I mean, he. There's no way. If that guy becomes president, I'm out of here. Canada, I know it's cold, but you're getting a new resident.
Well,
There's no way. Trump's trying to destroy the democracy. Sanders will destroy it. But Sanders will never get elected because Medicare for all is not going to fly. So I don't know, but America, I don't know. You better wake up, or you're going to wake up one day and you're not going to be the free people you think you are.
well, I agree with that completely. This guy, he is pushing to the limit. He's getting as close to a monarchy as he can get.
Look at his attorney general.
Yes.
I mean, they pulled him out of the bottom of the trash pile, but because he's a yes man, they keep him in there.
Yeah.
But look at all the talent that's quitting and leaving
I
that
know.
we're losing
I know.
because of this bleach blonde bozo that we elected president. We didn't elect, the Electoral College did.
Yeah.
But this is crazy. The guy put us $3.3 trillion in debt. Starting next year, his budget will put us over $1 trillion a year in interest-only payments.
Yeah.
And that's good news?
No, that's not.
Like I said, I may have lost it. So, you might want to keep an eye on the newspaper, see if there's any headlines.
All right. Okay.
But
well, thanks for calling.
good talking to you, and I hope you feel better. You sound like you still got that bug.
Yeah, I got it, man. That thing's going around, and everybody's got it. Jesus, it's amazing.
Knocked on my door. I didn't open it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, keep the door closed then.
Yeah.
Okay.
You take care. Good
All right.
talking with you.
Okay, take care. So let's talk about. I was talking about Andrew Johnson. He took the land back from slaves, and that came under his administration. He was then responsible specifically for vetoing the promise that Lincoln made about the 40 acres and a mule. Johnson was the one who said, no, we will not allow that to happen. We are not going to be 40 acres and a mule. And there was a Civil Rights Act that was passed in 1866. And that act that was passed in 1866 was to provide civil rights for the new freedmen, and he would not uphold that Civil Rights Act. And we got Steve on line one. Yes, sir. Winnie?
No, it says conservative Winnie.
Oh, Winnie. Yes, Winnie. Yes, Winnie.
Yeah, and that is sad. I do this at Fox News, CNN, CBS News, Yeah, and but he's 7 8 years old, too old for me, too old. So be like Reggie might get dementia while he in the camp. I'm just saying. But yeah, Medicare for all that. I only tell you, they on that New Hampshire. The guy say that young man could change the guy. He say I'm gonna vote for Bernie Sanders. The guy said why? He say that he because that he got to what is college tuition for free or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of this, they say all this good stuff, but really a lot of this stuff be like no help for Medicare for all and free tuition and things like this here. But
Well,
I don't know if it sounds good. I don't know if it's a good idea.
well,
I
well.
had got my voter thing in the mail. I had voted for Bloomberg. I just circled him a little bit with Mike Bloomberg.
Yeah.
I said I don't care who did it though. I don't care who become a nominee or nothing like that. But I just did it for any of them. Anyway, have a good day. You know
Okay.
what? I hate to say it. If I could be wrong, but Trump might win again.
No, he might.
He might win again. Who
He
knows?
might.
Anyway, have a good night, Rudy Howard,
Okay.
everybody.
All right.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Listen, I want to, when he has fallen into the trap most of you have fallen into. We can't afford this. We can't provide education at a low cost or no cost for our kids. Why is it many other countries, democracies in the free world can do it and we can't? Why is it other democracies can provide health care but we can't? And I'm going to tell you why. A budget is a moral document. I want you to listen to me very carefully. A budget is a moral document. It's a statement of who you are and what you believe for your people. So if your moral document requires you to spend 3/4 of the money on defense and not provide for the education and uplift of your people, then that is a statement of your morals as it relates to the people of your country. There's money that can be had. Listen, I heard somebody say something this morning, and I just chose not to get into it. And she said, I was making more money in 1980 than I am today. And I listened to that, and I didn't say anything. And I've talked about this many times. Having been a corporate manager, I know what kind of raises I was giving in the 80s when I was administering salary and wages for a staff of 90 people. And a typical raise for my average worker was like 6%. And a good worker, I got them anywhere from 10 to 15% raise. Now, if you get a 3% raise, that's a good raise. How is that possible? We've done away with pensions because we said they were unsustainable. And I know there's a guy listening who's saying, yes, I did say that. And I'm saying, no, that's not true. We have squeezed the wages of the middle class to the point where they're squealing like stuffed pigs. We did away with public housing building, and we have an exploding homeless population, we have just decided as a society, because we're too stupid to figure out that if we don't squawk and make a fuss, that they're going to spend the money the way they want to spend the money. And there's nothing we can do about it unless we vote and unless we protest, unless we make our feelings known about how they're going about doing things. That's just the reality. And if your budget, one of the things, and oftentimes we hear people, especially conservatives, talk poorly about Europe. But one of the things about Europe, their people are a high priority. They're not all socialists. Their people are high priority. They put a high priority on people with vacation and leave and health care and education. That's a high priority to them. So if we wanted to, we could. There is an unwillingness because you've been lied to so much you've been lied to about how the economy works, and it's been very effective that you can't provide any additional wages, because if you do that, it will hurt the growth of companies and businesses. Not true. That is one of the biggest lies ever told. We've got all kind of examples around us, and the first one that comes to mind was Henry Ford. When Henry Ford developed the Model T, which was an innovation of its time, Henry Ford was wise enough to figure out that he's got this fantastic machine, but if nobody's got any money, nobody could buy it. So he began to pay people more money so they could buy his Model T, and guess what? Model T sales zoomed. I looked at a video recently from Nick Hanauer, and if anybody listened to me for any length of time, I go on and on about him. And the reason why I talk about Nick Hanauer so much is because he's a capitalist. He's not a socialist. He's a capitalist that says our system is broke and it needs fixing. He doesn't believe in socialism. He says he thinks capitalism is one of the great inventions that has ever happened to us and people in the free world. But the lies that we've been told about how capitalism operates have got to be undone because it's hurting our ability to grow our economy. And he gives this example. He's from Washington, and Seattle was one of the first places that raised the wages to like $15 an hour. And waiters and waitresses there make like $9.25 an hour. He said, we were told when we were on the precipice of making this change that the businesses were going to run out of Seattle. He said, just the opposite has happened. Business is booming. Small businesses is growing. And you know why? Listen, think about it. It's so logical. And because you've been told that the money trickles down. The money don't trickle down. That's just a trickle-down lie. A pure D lie. When you have money, when you put money in the hands of people who are middle class, they will spend it. They will buy goods and services. They will buy cars. They will buy clothes. And as a result of that, they will go out to eat if they have disposable income. So what happened in Seattle was what they thought was going to be a disaster ended up being a boon to the economy. And you got Kansas, who did the reverse experiment, They cut taxes for all of the businesses, and the education system was in absolute turmoil. So if your budget, if the United States budget is concerned morally with its citizens, there can be room in the budget to supply some of the things we need. And listen, and I want you to keep this in mind. In the 50s, under Eisenhower, the marginal tax rate for the wealthy was 90%. Do I think that's too high? Yeah, I do. But guess what? When you hear people talk about the booming economy and people look back on favorable times, the 50s was a pretty hot time. It's when the middle class was really starting to grow. But taxes on the rich were 90%. Now they're down to, if you're a venture capitalist, you're paying 15%. That's stupid. Don't make any sense. It's illogical. How could somebody who's worth multi-billion dollars be paying less taxes than I do? And I'm just a struggling local businessman. How's that possible? What sense does that make? That makes no sense. All right, I'm off my soapbox with that. But I just wanted to say, because when he said, well, people say this and say that, and they can't do it. Yeah, some of that stuff can be done. It has to be a readjustment in your priorities. And it doesn't mean that I think we should have no defense spending, but I think we can drastically, listen to me what I'm saying, I'm going to say it again so you can understand it. I think we can drastically reduce defense spending to provide for health care and education for our people. We spend far more on military than any other country in the world. Can be done. Okay, back to my question. I still don't have an answer to my trivia question. I am the first black lieutenant governor in the United States, and I'm from the state of Louisiana. Who am I? Who am I? I want somebody to win this prize so they can go to Dominic's and check out his fantastic little bookstore and pick out a book. I had a great time there when he must have had about 12 or 13 of us in there. He was talking about his book, and I really enjoyed myself. And we were all in there buying books, and he was signing them for us. It was pretty cool. Now, back to Andrew Johnson. He believed in states' rights. So after the Civil War and the Union prevailed, they limited some of the rights that the states felt that they should have with respects to people who they perceived as their property, namely the slaves. And Andrew Johnson felt that was an impediment to their independence as a state. Now, let's talk about the quiet thing that took place, which was Reconstruction. Reconstruction lasted from 1867 to 1877. Reconstruction was the period of time ending the Civil War where they were trying to rebuild the South because much of the fighting had taken place in the South. And they were trying to find out how to integrate the new black freedmen who had been emancipated. And during that time, many of you probably don't know, some of you do, that there were senators, black congressmen, all of whom were elected during this period of time when, during the Reconstruction, and they were creating equal opportunities for the people who had been slaves. And once that period ended, many of those people were removed from office. Some, in some cases, violently. Because during this period of time that Andrew Johnson was overseeing the country, the Southerners were still fighting hard to hold on to the traditions that they had held dear under slavery. So the Ku Klux Klan emerged, and there was warring factions that took place because they were not ready to surrender the rights that they felt they had as white men. And it didn't matter whether the slaves had any rights or not. They just felt as though they had those rights and they were theirs and they should not have to give them up. So during this Reconstruction period, they were trying to make this integration, and they had troops in the South trying to keep the peace and to enforce the laws that had been passed with the emancipation of the slaves. And toward the end of Reconstruction, they pulled the troops out of the South. And when they pulled the troops out of the South, the Southern states went immediately into mode, and they developed what was called the Black Codes. And the Black Codes were various and sundry methods of deferring slaves' rights and integrating into society. And there it was, the end of Reconstruction, the Black Codes, and that eventually morphed into Jim Crow. So the Reconstruction period, so when people tell you that there was some similarities between Andrew Johnson and what happened to Donald Trump, there was no similarities there at all. This case that Steve was attempting to make last week, there's no similarities. Andrew Johnson was doing what he felt that he had to do in support of those people and their states' rights in the South. But in any event, so once again, nobody's got that answer? Nobody has a Google or what? The first black lieutenant governor in America from Louisiana. We're going to take a little break and think about that. The first black lieutenant governor from the state of Louisiana. And if you know the answer, dial in at 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
Serving the entire Treasure Coast, Howard Insurance and Associates in Port St. Lucie offers a wide variety of insurance products, along with the very best customer service. Whether you're shopping for the best homeowners coverage at the most affordable value, contact Rudy Howard's team at Howard Insurance and Associates. If you need coverage for your vehicle, call Howard Insurance and Associates, 343-9878. That's 343-9878. Maybe you're planning to add a boat, motorcycle, or RV. Call Howard Insurance and Associates for your free quote at 343-9878 and get the coverage you need at a cost that will fit your budget. For home or business, auto or recreational vehicle, choose Howard Insurance and Associates, 600 Southwest Darwin Boulevard, Suite 206, Port St. Lucie. And for your free rate quote, call them at 343-9878, 343-9878.
Hometown Sunday morning programming is special on WPSL. It all starts at 6 a.m. with official access, our public affairs presentation. At 7, the Online Trading Academy comes your way. Then at 8, the Port St. Lucie Church of Christ on Midway Road. And then at 9, it's the Savona Church of Christ in Port St. Lucie at 2196 Southwest Savona Boulevard. And then at 10 a.m., it's Covenant Tabernacle's The Lighthouse program. At 10:30, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir has a program, and then at 11, an encore of IRSC Startup Talk with Tom Kindred. Followed at noon and throughout the afternoon by CBS Sports. Hometown Sundays are special. It's just another one of the many reasons why WPSL is the talk of the Treasure Coast, celebrating 25 years and counting. We now return you to the African American scene. Once again, here's your host, Rudy Howard.
Okay, so still no call for answer to that question. All right, just because I'm feeling very generous, I'll give you the other one, and so if you get either one of them right, you'll be okay. I was the first black millionaire in Hollywood. Who am I? The first black millionaire in Hollywood.
That'd be a tough one.
Who am I? I don't make it too easy. They should be able to find that one too.
Yeah, that should be easily Googled, but in Hollywood of all places.
And when they see the name,
that's the clue.
When they see the name, they're gonna go, "Oh man, I should have known that." You know, they're gonna see the name and they're gonna go, "I should have known that." Right?
Yeah.
I know.
Wow.
See, you knew it. You just didn't know that you knew it.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
all
let's see
right.
what happens.
So anyway, now I'll also entertain any conversation that you want to have regarding what Trump is doing with the Justice Department regarding this sentencing for Roger Stone, which I think is just outrageous. So we'll see about that. But anyway, so my other trivia question: who was the first black Hollywood millionaire? and he had a very famous nickname. And if you can figure out who that is, you will win a prize.
No, there's a potential possible. I got part of the name. Is that part of the name?
Yes, it is.
Ooh, Winnie is with you.
Okay, Winnie. Yes. Who is it? Who's Winnie? Is it Winnie?
Yep, it's Winnie. Yeah.
Who is it?
Hey, Rudy.
Yeah. Well, who is it?
Tell Rudy the whole name that you've got there. Oh, you got to speak it into the phone, because if I turn you up too loud, it howls in my ear. We got to be able to hear you.
Who is it?
Rudy?
Yes.
Hey, Rudy.
Yes.
I Googled up and say Oscar Done.
Oscar Dunn, did you say?
That's the right man.
Which name did you say? What did you
You
say?
said what the first black lieutenant.
Right, he's looking for the name of the man.
Yes, the name of the man was the first black lieutenant governor. And you said,
Just read it to him. Read him what you got.
Hello.
yeah, tell me who you got.
Like my phone was dead over.
Okay, don't be afraid. Just tell me who you got.
Uh-oh. Wow. Her phone zapped out. I think she said Oscar James Dunn. Is that anywhere near?
That is it. If that's who she said.
Oh.
That's what I was trying to get her. That's what I was trying to get her.
All we was trying to get her to do was just to say it because, well, she was having trouble with her phone, too. That's probably confusing if your phone's
Well, I think she
messing up.
was a little intimidated of saying it, but that is the name. If that's what she told you, that's the winner. She's a winner.
Yeah, she was able to get it out on the air, but I don't know if you had heard it or not.
Okay.
Because, well, that's when the phone started to do strange things.
Yes, Oscar Dunn.
Wow.
That's his name, Oscar Dunn.
So what does Winnie win?
Well, I'm going to give Winnie a free eye exam at Dr. Irby's office. So, Winnie, if you can get by here, you'll get a free. I know you live in Fort Pierce now, so I'll have this for you up at the front desk with your name on it.
4100 Metzger Road.
And you'll get a free eye exam from Dr. Irby. She's in Port St. Lucie, but it's free. So
She's been on your show, hasn't she?
yes, she has. Yeah. Dr. Irby, she's good.
Oh, I got to let everybody know, in about 7 minutes, we are not going to go to CBS News at the top of the hour. We're going to stay right here because there's just a few minutes later into the hour, to the next hour. IRFC Basketball with Greg Wyatt comes your way. So stick around, folks. Rudy's going to stay with us a little longer, so you got extra time to call him up, right?
Yep. Okay, so now we got one down and one to go. Who is the first black millionaire, a Hollywood actor? And when you hear the name, you're going to be like, God, I knew that. And he had a nickname.
Is the nickname just as good as the real name if they call in?
Yes.
340-1590.
Yeah, if they call in with the nickname, that would be just as good. I'll accept that. Yeah. I don't want to be that tough because most people won't know his real name anyway. So
You either know it or you don't.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So excuse me, boy. I am so sorry, but I'm struggling here with this cough. But in any event, so if you have thoughts about what President Trump has done with this Roger Stone sentencing, I'd like to hear from you. I quite frankly find it very, very scary, very scary. And as if you weren't listening to me earlier, one of the things that I've learned from reading the book by Kim Stahl is that, I think it's Kim Winke or Wheel. She's a law professor, that much of what we have come to accept as norms for how we operate as a government are not created by legislation, but are really created by ritual and by acceptance of common behavior for how we handle things. So there may not be a violation per se with what he's done, but it is in complete opposition to how we as a government has seen the Department of Justice interact with the president's office. So, but anyway, and I find that pretty scary because really we're not a monarchy. We operate under 3 separate branches of government. So, all right. And we have a caller.
Yes, his name is Bill.
Yes, Bill. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good.
Sir, is it the laziest man in the world, let me find his name again. Stephen Pritchett?
Is it who?
Stephen Pritchett?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Bingo. You got it. Step and fetch it. Do you know
All
what
right, awesome.
do you know what his real name is?
No, sir, I don't.
Yeah. I will let you get away with Step and Fetch because his real name is Lincoln Theodore Monroe Andrew Perry, better known as
Is
Step
that
and
right?
Oh, it's the nickname that got it. This okay.
He got it. Step and Fetch it. He got it. Yeah. Okay, so you will be able to go to Poetic Justice Books and Arts and select one book. Give me, have Cliff give me your name so that I can tell Dominic to expect you.
Yeah, we'll do that off the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can go get your book.
Oh,
Okay.
Do you have,
that is awesome. Thank you so much.
do you have
Stay
any
on the
other
line.
You have any other comments?
No, sir. This is the first time I've listened to your show, and it is very interesting.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Stay on the line so I can
I'm
get some
going to be
information.
Okay, so stay on. He's going to get some information from you so I can give your name to Dominic so when you go to the shop, you can get your book.
Yeah, hang on a second. I'll be right with you. All righty.
Okay, so, all right, we got 2 winners tonight. All right. And I'm glad that Winnie won. She's one of my faithful listeners. She listens to me every week, and that's pretty cool. So, if just out of curiosity, if you want to hear the list, I found that list of who were the most racist presidents in American history. And no, I'm not going to say that because you know what? All that will do is just make you mad. So I'm not going to, I'm going to leave that alone. But in any event, do you have any questions about Reconstruction and how that went? You know, until Edward Brooke was the first senator in Massachusetts as a black man elected to the Senate since Reconstruction. That's one of those little tidbits. And I was actually living in Massachusetts at the time. But Edward Brooke was was the first black senator elected to the Senate since Reconstruction. That's always a big thing, and I remember that well because I was living there at the time.
It's legality time.
Yeah.
You know what I have to do? I have to push that secret button that makes us absolutely legal. Can you handle 10 whole seconds, folks? Here it is.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Okay, back to the African-American scene. We're staying here with the live show because IRSC basketball will be coming up in about 15 minutes with a pregame show with Greg Wyatt. Okay, Rudy.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. So we got 2 winners. We got Winnie, and the other guy is
His
Bill.
name is Bill. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Excuse me, Lord. I hope I'm feeling better next week. But just so you know I play hurt because I'm here. And Bill, I will give you that. I will give your name to Dominic so.
And we'll need to call Bill after the show and let him know where Dominic's store is.
Okay, all right, I will. I'll call Bill and let him know. Okay. All right. So, if you go back and do some research, the Reconstruction era was quite interesting because there was a real earnest attempt to move African Americans forward after the Civil War, and they had several pieces of legislation that passed, and they were trying to do some very proactive things in order to bring African Americans into the full breadth of society, but it had a stumble, a big old giant stumble and fall, because folks were not ready to accept that full integration of black people into society. And one of the things, and I was looking at this 11 most racist presidents in the United States. One of the people that made the list was Eisenhower. Eisenhower made it not because of what he did, but because of what he didn't do, which was kind of interesting. But the Reconstruction period was an enormous opportunity for black people to expand their role within the American society. And I can only wonder how different our lives would have been had we been able to move into society the way it was imagined by Lincoln. And we got Daniel on line one. Yes, sir.
Hey, Rudy, it's Daniel. How you doing this evening?
Good, good.
Sound like you get a little cough.
I do.
But I got one question, and if Donald Trump picks up most of the black vote here in November coming up, would you then change your tune against him?
No.
No?
No, because it doesn't have anything to do fundamentally with him satisfying me as a black man. It has to do with his absolute disregard for our Constitution. I find it offensive, and I find it very dangerous. And he will never, and you can take this to the bank and cash it, he will never get the majority of the black vote. That's not even possible.
I do believe he is increasing in the black votes now, and also putting more black folks and Asian folks and Mexican folks to work. Do you agree with that?
According to him, that's according to him. But if you go back, and I just saw charts on that recently, Obama put more people to work in his last three years of office than President Trump has put in his first 3 years in office. You know, some of this stuff is, it's mathematics, and you can bend it and twist it, but the absolute numbers show that Obama put more people to work than Trump did for the same time period.
I don't know about that. That's not what the facts are showing right now.
Well, look it up. I just looked at it the other day. If you look at, if you take,
Well,
there's a
we'll
chart.
disagree on that.
No, there's nothing to disagree about, because if you look it up, there's a chart that shows side by side the number of jobs created by Obama and the number of jobs created by Trump. It's in a bar graph.
Obama had 8 years. He's only into it 3 now. So I give him another 5 years, and he's going to blow way past Obama's accomplishment.
So listen. Give me an education. I want you to.
I just wanted to play that by you, Rudy, and thanks for listening to me.
No. Wait, before you go, I want you to give me an education. Why are you so committed to Donald Trump?
Because I think he listens to the people. He has nothing to lose, and he's going to drain that swamp in Washington, which is a lot of corruptness up there. And I believe he's the one to do it. I don't think anybody else has the balls or boldness enough to do that. So I'm all for him, and I hope he does it.
Okay. So you don't think any of his behavior has been swampy?
Well, I'm pretty good. I have a good job, and I'm doing fine. He's improved my life in the last 3 years that he's been in office, and I think he will probably improve it even more, a whole lot of other people's lives.
Okay. What about all the people that have been indicted in his administration?
Well, I believe there's a whole lot of indictments coming for all the people that have done wrong. Do you think Hillary should have been indicted?
Oh my God! How? She had 8 investigations.
You know she committed crimes.
Well, she had 8 investigations, and this is one of the things that really freaks me out when people say this. She had 8 investigations. Six of them were conducted by Republicans. She spent 12 hours testifying before Congress, and you still find her guilty of a crime, although nothing that she's ever. There's
Did
been
she have
no.
to destroy all those emails?
But she didn't
She
have
was
to.
hiding something. You know that, Rudy.
Well, Karl Rove destroyed over 2 million emails in the Bush administration.
Well,
Did you complain? Did you complain
Never
about
even
that?
heard of that. No.
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Look it up. Look it up.
I will. I will.
Okay, and you'll find out I'm not lying to you about that. But she was she found guilty of anything?
Well, look who was doing the convicting. Her DAs. You know, there's going to be investigations about the Obama folks that were in there and doing all kind of wrongdoing. And I think a lot of it's going to come out here in the next couple of years.
So what are you going to say in the next couple of years? Nothing comes out. It's already been 3 years post-Obama, and nothing's come out. Do you think they didn't try to find things that Obama did wrong?
I think there's a lot of people protecting him right now.
You do?
And Joe Biden and other folks, too.
You think there's people still protecting Obama?
I do believe, yes.
Who?
I can't say who, but it will come out.
Well,
they're the swamp dwellers, they call them.
There's nothing. There's nothing there.
I
could tell you.
We'll know in the next couple years, Rudy.
Okay.
And I'll be staying in touch with you because I really have a good time talking to you.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Yeah.
This is the big 90-minute African-American Scene special report.
Yeah.
The big 90-minute show all the way till 7:30 when IRSC basketball's pregame show starts with Greg Wyatt.
Okay. So we got another caller coming in. So, you know, I got to tell you that call, Bill, and I could tell he was being sincere as he can, but I want to know how many investigations they can have of Hillary before somebody finally determines that she didn't do anything. And I'm not a big Hillary defender. I'm not even a big Hillary fan, but boy, all the investigations she had, and there's still nothing to convict her of, but every conservative has decided she's guilty. When they conducted most of the investigations, I don't get it. But anyway, we got Jeff on line 1. Yes, Jeff.
Sure, Rudy, what's up?
Nothing much.
Are you going to vote for Bernie?
I really don't know who I'm going to vote for right now, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm independent now. I can vote for who I want, but I'm just saying, I don't know if I could vote for a guy that's going to sit there and tell us we need to be a socialist country.
That we need to be a what?
Socialist country.
I don't know that.
Socialist?
I don't.
That's OCIALIST.
I don't know that he really believes that. I think what he is squawking about, which a lot of people are squawking about right now, is that there's a serious sense of imbalance in our economy that needs to be fixed. Robert Reich talks about it. I read his book.
That means you're going to have to give up some of your money to me, Rudy, because you're a big-time guy, you know, and I'm a little guy. So that means you'd have to give up something to me, right?
Well, if I had to give, Jeff, if I had to give up some money to help my neighbor get health insurance.
I know you would.
Okay.
I know you'd do that. But I'm talking about, you know, hacking up your paycheck and deciding you don't deserve this and you don't deserve that or something. But I'm telling you right now, all these politicians that are screaming for that, why don't they cough up some of that millions of dollars they got instead of, what's his name, Joe, the guy from got all the billions of dollars. Why not he just help people out with that billions of dollars instead of trying to buy a presidency?
Well, all right. Well, that's your opinion.
I would.
You know, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I got another caller.
All right, well, take care, man.
Okay, we got Kurt on line 3. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Rudy. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm getting over what you got.
Ah, okay. God, it's going around. Everybody's got it. Ugh.
If you want to bring up Bernie Sanders, the only one of those 5 in New Hampshire was that Amy Klobuchar. She's the only one that is more of the moderate Democrat, and she's smart. I think she would have a better chance. But Sanders is a little too radical for most people.
I hear that a lot.
I mean,
but didn't
he talked not long ago about how we're going to have to make sacrifices with our environment and to improve our environment and that. And he gets out of a Cadillac Escalade and jumps into a chartered private jet. So, and I don't want to hear that little shriveled up guy spouting stuff, because he's wealthy, and I think if the Democrats make him the nominee, Trump's gonna win by a record landslide.
Isn't that what the Republicans said about Trump?
Well, I don't care if Trump used some influence with Ukraine. That's what presidents do. They meet with leaders of countries, and they sometimes make backroom deals. Obama did the same thing with one of Putin's top guys. He says, wait till I get reelected and I'll have more flexibility. So if Trump succeeds in getting rid of the rats in Washington, there's nobody needs to be in Congress 30-something years. And all of those people have to go. And I think Trump's the only one that can do it, because he doesn't care. And he's not a politician. He's not an insider in Washington. So don't cross him.
I hate to say this, though, but he's a habitual pathological liar. And I never thought I'd ever say that about a president, but he is the lyingest person that I have ever.
Obama lied.
He lies like people breathe.
Obama lied on numerous occasions.
Not even close.
If you like your doctor, you can keep him. If you like your insurance, you can keep it. He's as much a liar.
That's the only thing you can say. They don't have a count of 16,000 lies that Obama told. They got a count of over 16,000 lies Trump told.
Well, and Obama gave away $150 billion to Iran.
He did not give away $150 billion to Iran. That's one of those things.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
He put it on an airplane and sent it over to Iran.
It was their money.
Not all of it.
Yes, it was. Do you think that I, even though I am a Democrat, would be okay with him giving away $150 billion of our dollars? You think that'd be okay with me? If you think that would be okay with me, you don't know me very well. I would raise hell from hither to post if he gave away $150 billion of our dollars.
Well, listen, it really doesn't matter if it was Iran's money.
Yes, it
shouldn't have given
does.
it back to them.
Yes, it does
because
matter.
we know what they're doing. We know what they're doing with it.
It's their money.
I don't care.
Okay.
We should have seized their assets and kept them and said, if you do it again, we're going to take more of your money.
Okay.
We'll care when it's our money they take.
Yeah.
Give
All
away.
right.
The only way to deal with people that try to kill us is let's kill them before they get us.
Yeah. I got to let you go, Kurt. I got another caller.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, and we got Chuck on line too. Yes, Chuck.
Hey, Chuck. Hey, Rudy. How you doing?
Okay.
All right. I'd like to know why Democrats get 82% of the votes from the black population, when the black population in the United States is 13.3%. Now, the reason I ask this is if you look at the conditions in poverty in the big cities in the black community, you've got Biden now jumping down to South Carolina, and who is he pandering to? So why would you want to be a Democrat?
What do you mean, why would I want to be a Democrat? Do you think I'd want to
Yes,
be
sir.
Well, you think I'd want to be a Republican?
Oh,
you want to take people's health care?
There's other parties.
Do you want to take people's health care away? You want to cut people's Medicare?
Come on, Rudy.
You want to cut people? Well, it's just what he's doing. You want to cut people's
I'm talking
Medicare?
about why.
You're asking me, and I'm telling you. I'm giving you an answer.
It has nothing to do with Trump.
Well,
Biden is in South Carolina pandering to the black and the brown population.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that makes sense.
Look at the poverty that they live in.
How do you know?
But yet the Democrats go to them every year or every election.
Well, listen, then you haven't listened to me for a long time, because I have been saying for as long as I can remember, and I think Cliff will tell you this, there has been an ample opportunity for conservatives to win black votes, because fundamentally, most blacks are relatively conservative, but conservatives do dumb stuff that makes black people not vote for them. Now, there's a handful that will, but take myself, for example. I am probably closer to a conservative when it comes to fiscal matters, but socially, I cannot live with the program of conservatives. It's absolutely horrendous. So you want to know why I'm a Democrat? I could never be a Republican when you want to dump dirty, filthy fuel in waterways and don't care, and you don't want to find you say you're pro-life, and then you want to not pay for any health care for kids. That's an oxymoron to me. How can you justify that?
Who says you don't provide for the children? These are all talking points. They're not true.
Look, Chuck, you know I'm in the insurance business. The
Yes, sir, I know that.
The health care costs have gone up so much since he's been in office. He won't let them advertise.
Oh, my God.
You don't believe that? You don't believe that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're the expert in the field.
Well, I can tell you, if you look it up, it was just on, I can get you a video that shows that he cut the advertising budget for the Affordable Care Act, and he shortened the period of enrollment for the Affordable Care Act, and he's trying to remove pre-existing conditions. It's in court.
No, he just came out.
Well, that's what he
and
said.
Said that he was going to support.
He's lying again.
Pre-existing condition.
He's lying again.
Oh my God.
Okay, listen. You want to know why? Listen.
Why?
Stop letting him lie to you like that. There is a case.
Oh, you don't think the Democrats are lying?
Well, listen, Chuck. There is a case right now in court
where they're trying to remove pre-existing conditions. I'm not making it up. Look, you're a good computer guy. Look it up. You'll find out what I'm saying is absolutely true. He is trying. He's telling you that he supports pre-existing conditions, lies to your face, and behind the back, he's working to try to remove pre-existing conditions, and thinks most people are dumb enough that they won't do the work.
He wants to change the Affordable Care Act, which Obama had, which raised premiums so darn high that people couldn't afford insurance. But Queen Nancy thinks she is going to have her way, and the legislation is not going to work except with her approval.
No, you need Chuck. I'm ashamed of you because you a guy that does, and I have always admired the fact that you do your homework. You have not done your homework.
I do my homework.
You haven't done your homework on this. And I have another caller I got to get to. All right.
All right, Rudy. Talk with you later.
Okay, Charles on line 1. Yes, sir.
Charles.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I guess Charles has left us. He set his phone down and walked away.
Oh, okay.
But it's not the thing to do when you call a live radio show.
Okay.
There, he's gone. If he wants to call, he'll call back.
Yeah.
But he's only got a few minutes. We got about just under 7 minutes to IRSC basketball pregame with Greg Wyatt.
Okay. So, I need an envelope. Remind me to get an envelope for this for Winnie.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So, we had a very spirited discussion. But for anybody that thinks that I just told you a lie, please don't take my word for it. Please pull your Google out, look it up. He's telling you he supports pre-existing conditions, and he's lying through his teeth, and behind your back, he's working in the courts to try to remove pre-existing conditions. That's reality. That's what he's doing. He says he's not going to cut Medicare, and the new budget that he is introducing is going to cut like 25, I don't want to exaggerate, I'm going to say 25 billion because I think it's trillion. He's going to cut like $25 billion off the Medicare rolls. I read it just the other day. And he's also going to cut Medicaid and what was the third one? I can't remember the third one. But those are the cuts that are in the budget he proposed. Now, fortunately, it's a proposed budget, so the chances of it being successful are rather slim. But he's telling you out of one side of his mouth that he's not going to cut Medicare. He told you that when he was running for president. And now he's trying to cut it. You know? So I don't know. Listen, forget being a conservative or a Democrat. I don't know how you could believe anything he says. I don't know how you believe anything that he says. Nothing. I absolutely believe nothing that he says. He speaks out of both sides of his mouth. And you can say that Obama, yes, Obama said it. I have never defended, other than to say that I think he made a stupid statement when he said, you can have your own doctor. If you like your doctor, you can keep him. And you know why that's a dumb statement? Because anybody who's 1 year into doing medical insurance knows you can't force a doctor to take a medical plan. They take a plan if they want to take the plan, and whether or not they're going to make money on the plan. If they're not going to make money on the plan, they're not going to do it. That was just a dumb statement, and I'm madder at the people around him that allowed him to make that statement, because I could bring you a kid with 1 year's worth of experience in health insurance, and he would know not to say that, make that statement. But anyway, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. And Steve, I got your I got your information. Cliff gave it to me. I will call my buddy Dominic and let him know that you'll be coming, and I will call you and give you the address and directions to get to Dominic's place so you can pick up your book. And boy,
wow.
It started off as a slow.
The 90-minute edition of the African American Scene is just about over with.
Yeah.
We'll finish up with a break. We'll get to play your spot. We got to let everybody know about Howard Insurance.
Okay.
I mean, you're not just some dude sitting in here talking. He's an insurance agent, folks. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to things like insurance and health care costs and stuff like that. You know, he owns a pretty good company and he employs people and all kinds of stuff like that. So, you know, if you're looking for a job in the insurance business, you don't want to call him up hollering at him on the show first because you don't get a second chance at a first impression.
Yeah, hey, listen, I probably have lost some business doing this show because people get mad at me from my point of view, but that's...
Well, they expect to get their own point of view. Everybody thinks that they're entitled to a point of view, and if we're not entitled to a point of view, we're not entitled to anything. If we can't have a point of view.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that anyway. And
I have nothing against people's opinions, even if they are stupid. Oh.
Oh boy, that's for sure.
But you know what they say about opinions? They're like, no, can't say that.
Yes, you can't say that. Yes, no, you can't.
But everybody has one.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, everyone does. Okay, listen. I've enjoyed it. I got an extra 30 minutes in. This is pretty cool. I had an hour and a half tonight.
Wow.
And the phone's lit up.
You're not even out of breath.
No, I'm not.
Wow.
But I'd like to thank you so much for listening to the African American Scene. God bless and be safe. And I'll see you next Wednesday right here for the African American Scene.
Archives of the African American Scene can be seen on YouTube. Look for WPSL TV on YouTube for Archives of the African American Scene with Rudy Howard.